one. All right.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hey, what's going on with you?
Welcome to Keepin It 100. What's up, Courtney?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Doing good, doing good.
I'm good. I'm
Damn.
good this week. Things are
Maurice.
down quite a bit. Hey,
What's going
Maurice.
on?
Hey,
How you doing?
I am chilling. How y'all doing?
Are you
Good.
Doing
back
well.
on the
Can't
side
complain
of
any.
the free earth?
Doing
Because you
good,
already
doing
know
good.
That's it.
we got to catch up with him when we can.
Well,
You know what? I
it's
don't
been a
know.
pretty good month so far.
So far, so good.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh yeah.
Well, you
He's
can't
been
complain
around.
any about that.
Tell us where you were for the last couple of weeks, Maurice.
Okay, so around the beginning of the month, around the month I think, I took a southeast tour to Orlando and then to Pensacola and then to Biloxi. And then after that, drove to Baton Rouge to see a friend of ours from high school to check on him, see how he was doing. Hey, Tootie, and everything. I hope he's watching.
How is he doing?
He is doing good.
Hey, sweetie. Hopefully he's watching.
I hope he's watching too. So I went out there to Baton Rouge and saw him, and then came back home just in time to take my trip to Jamaica. And I went to, oh yeah, I
Bon de
stayed.
man. Okay.
Oh
All right.
yeah, man,
All right.
it
All
was
right.
blast. I had a really good time. I didn't stay at no resort. Instead, I stayed at an estate where this lady has cottages, and she does like herbal retreats and different types of retreats out there at her place, and everything was all natural. Everything was just natural, you know. The hammocks, there were hammocks everywhere. Food was cooked outdoors and from the grounds. The
Mm.
food was stuff that had fallen from trees or that we picked from the trees.
Oh, wow.
Peppers, fruits, vegetables. The lady had her own. Uh, the chef had her own pig and chicken farm. So everything was untarnished. Nothing American. Everything I ate out there was nothing American. I'm eating oatmeal porridge, plantain porridge. Uh, we're going hikes, and I'm eating fruits that were out there, coconut milk, rice, and peas. It was in the breeze and the mountains. You could see the ocean from the mountains, and
Well,
then
what
we
made
went
you? But
swam in the
what made you even
river.
come back? Look
Oh
at
my
you.
God,
Right.
7 days of pure bliss.
That's
I
all right.
really enjoyed every minute of it. And I advise anyone to go. In fact, I told her about the show.
Okay.
She's called if you go on Instagram, her angle is the Barefoot Island Lady.
Okay. Okay.
Very easy. And she looked like Shaka Khan.
Okay.
He
Good
does.
for
He sent me.
you.
He put a picture up. She does like Shaka Khan.
Wow.
Good
She
for
looked just
you.
like Shaka Khan.
That's
So
all
when you
right.
get a chance, y'all go on her angle, Barefoot Island Lady. Her area is called the Rustic Island Mountain Living, Rustic Mountain Living, and everything out there. If you ever go, I advise all of y'all to go before you go doing these resorts. Um, it's like family, and
I
that's
got a
the best
question.
way to explain it.
Did you had to rough it while you was there?
Mm, I didn't feel like I was roughing it.
Wait.
I
But you're
really,
military. Wait. You're military though. So wait.
yeah.
Civilian wise,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
would it be considered roughing it?
No, it was like luxury.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because the bathrooms, I give you an example. The you get a loft. Yeah, it's like a
Uh-huh.
two-story cottage, and you got your living room and stuff downstairs. There's no TV. There's no
I kind of
TV,
like
no
you.
air conditioning. You
I
got
watch you.
fans. You got plenty of breeze.
Okay.
Uh, you got a loft upstairs, and this big window that you could just look at the stars and everything while you go to sleep. Everything is screened. The bathroom that you have is a semi indoor outdoor bathroom.
Okay.
So if you're taking a shower, it's almost like you're taking a shower outside, which is
Outside.
usually what you'll get from the
Yeah.
You know what? That sounds like we might need to keep it 100 Insight TV with the barefoot lady of the islands. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like to me.
Ooh, that would be so amazing, though,
What you talking about?
to
It was
talk to
great,
her.
and they and
I'm gonna
look,
tell you.
they wash your look, and they'll wash your clothes. So you got this lady there that will wash the clothes like your grandparents used to do it. I mean, she
Oh
washes your
yeah.
clothes outside in the basin and then hangs them out on the line in front of
Well,
your place.
why didn't you just send us some footage? We would have had it part of the show today. You know what?
Well, but we're gonna save it for the next
We're gonna do
show.
that. We're gonna do
Yeah,
Yes.
that.
I got plenty of footage.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I already can tell you. Y'all gonna be no. Houston did not. Once I'm gonna wake up one morning while I'm there.
Yeah.
But I have one. I have one
Yeah.
last question.
Yeah.
So, all right, I've done enough sleeping outside, right? I've done enough sleeping with insects and animals.
Yeah.
Are there any nearby?
Well, of course it's gonna be some. What you?
Yeah, you're gonna have the insects, but they don't bother you.
That
You're
was in your
gonna she's
childhood,
got dogs
I'm
on the
done.
property, but they're guard dogs.
right?
And these guys don't bother the guests. They
Right.
basically pay attention to what is trying to come in if it should.
Okay.
They even got a cat. Okay, this little cat is a kitten,
Mhm.
but I don't think the kitten knows that it's a
Kitten.
cat. Or yeah, because he hangs out with the dog and it growls.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
the
yeah.
cat growls.
Oh wow.
You need some footage of all that.
As long as I see no kind of like wild animals and stuff like that, I'm good.
Well, you had
Yeah.
business women. You had there were two business women out there when I was there. A businessman that was out there. These people owned their own businesses when I was there, and now I think the folks that are out there now are foreigners from England and Asia, and they got one white dude out there. I think she just did an interview with this one guy. So it's not what you think. It's not really roughing it. It's just
Okay. Okay.
pure relaxation, man.
So
You
that's
can't
good.
beat it.
That's all right. That's all
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, I'm game. I travel
Well,
24/7, so
well.
Oh yeah.
After that story, I'm not talking about my week because it was nothing compared to that. I'm good.
I didn't do a
It was
thing.
nothing compared to that.
Nothing.
I didn't do a thing.
What about you, Courtney? You've been skydiving this week, hang gliding.
Oh snap.
None of that.
Cave,
Look,
cave,
just
cave
just been
hunting.
here in North Carolina fighting this pollen. So that's all I've been doing.
Hey, that's a jungle out there itself.
taking my medicine and fighting this pollen.
That's a jungle in itself.
Yeah.
All right,
Only
what
thing
about
I've
you?
done now, I will say, anybody from that was originally from Pitt County, even if you're not from Pitt County, didn't go to school in Pitt County, we have a few rooms left on this Viking Unleashed cruise if you want to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
It is about, for the rooms that I have, we are about 90%, 95% booked.
Really? Wow.
So, and I don't know if I can get any more rooms. So if you want to go, hit a sister up. We got transportation going from Greenville all the way to Miami. Okay. With Mark
Okay.
Hicks.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mark, I cannot remember your bus line, but I'm gonna get it before the end of the show. But his bus line is gonna be taking people from Greenville all the way down to Miami and back.
Okay.
Oh
Got
really?
you.
Mark Hicks? Oh wow. Okay. Nice.
But other than that, I'm traveling. My travel starts in a couple months, my first trip. So
All right.
Okay.
ready.
Okay. Well, I tell you
Not
what.
Jamaica, but I'm ready to go.
That's all
So
right.
Mr. Houston got us someone to come on to the show tonight. That's going to talk about insurance. And just after a brief conversation with him, I realized that at the age of my age, I know nothing about insurance and how it works.
Gotcha.
I know the bare minimum compared to what he was saying yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's bring him up. We'll start the show with him a little bit. Oh, he's over there being creative. Look at this. He over here being creative.
He's ready.
You got your own banner. You know what, Vidal? I got you, brother. I got you. Yes.
Mr. Vidal Harris.
Come on in the building. Look at that. You're holding it. We're gonna have to create you a background. We're gonna put you a background together now. Okay.
You already ordered one.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. How are you, sir?
Doing? Ain't no need to complain. Y'all don't want to hear it.
There you go.
So
you know what?
How did it end last night?
That was the only team, OKC, that cost me $713. The Grizzlies covered, Phoenix covered.
Boston lost last night.
No, Boston won by 35, but I had OKC with 14.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
That's the only team cost me $713.
Lord have mercy. See, you're supposed to bet on the stuff like, if you got a 10-year-old and you bet them in racing. You're supposed to bet something that you could win.
Yeah.
So good.
How that go?
Before we get into the issue, I do have one little tidbit. Okay. So Jamia is going to be performing at Dreamville.
All right.
Her majorette team is performing Friday somewhere between 5 and 9 out in Moore Square. So
okay.
Yeah. So she's excited.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's gonna be all right.
We don't know what celebrity might be there, might not be there, but she's gonna be there. So proud of her.
I got you. Well, I'll tell you what, Vidal, we want to bring you up. First of all, tell me who you are and the name of your business. Tell us a little bit about you.
The name of my business is People's Insurance. Insurance for the people, by the people, of course. I'm Vidal Harris. I founded it, and that's it. Insurance, get you some.
Okay. Now, the type of insurance that you offer, I've been learning a lot just listening to you and us talking about a few things and putting some marketing ideas together. So it's not just, life insurance. This is like everything as far as car insurance, business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have all lines of insurance. So I'm a broker. I can sell you commercial, life insurance, auto insurance, renter's insurance, general liability insurance for your business.
Okay.
Health insurance, whatever insurance you need. If you give me all the information that's needed, I can get you some, very competitive quotes from a lot of underwriters.
Okay, so if it has the word insurance in it, they need to call you the People's Insurance.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now look,
it's for them. It's for them. It's for the people, by the people.
I got you.
I like that.
One thing that I wanted to make sure we brought up, because we had some interesting conversations. Me, you, and Ursula had some conversations last night. It was real interesting. You kind of enlightened us on a few things. Because one of the things that we talked about last night, I said, just looking at our people, how we can be sometimes. We said, well, I want State Farm. I want, what's some other ones that we know?
Allstate, Nationwide.
The names that we know, and I was like, because we think that, hey, that means that they're going to be a little bit better insurance. Tell us how that's not necessarily the case and how a lot of it's under the same umbrella.
Well, it's a question. And I think we said this, what is your need when you call an insurance agent or broker? What is your need?
So, that's a question. I was just listening. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're saying, what is your need?
I mean, what is the need? People get needs and wants confused. When you call an agent or broker, you need insurance.
Right.
So
it depends on if you want liability or liability you gotta have, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
And then the other one is what? Collision insurance.
Collision, other than collision, comprehension, whatever. But the need is insurance, regardless if it's auto, life, whatever. That's the need.
Okay.
So what does Allstate sell?
Insurance.
What does State Farm sell?
Insurance.
What does Joe Mom and Pop down the street sell?
Yeah, it's insurance, but in our
Right.
mind, we thinking it's different, but it's not.
Well, I mean, we always think things that we really don't know.
Right.
You know, we assume like, well, if I buy from a company that has a multi-million-dollar budget, it's going to be better than if another company has a $100 budget. You still buying insurance.
Right. Right. So a lot of times people are thinking that the insurance is better. Like if I go to
Because it
Allstate,
has a better name.
it,
Like a
yeah,
well,
we just think that just like a pair of Nikes and Jordans,
Houston, you
Kings and the
know,
whole nine.
Houston, what's the word? Brand recognition.
Yeah. Oh, I know this. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
bring the
No, I'm just
conversation out.
saying, yeah,
Yeah.
brand recognition. Now that's what I'm saying. Like that's it. It's no different. Brand recognition. If they never hear about you, they'll never know who you are.
Right.
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 And Allstate and State Farm make it hard to hear about you because every time you turn a game on, an event on, a commercial on, that's what you see.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I got you. Okay. Okay.
So that's it. I mean, with any insurance Allstate has, they own a lot of the other companies that you think you're going to buy from. That's not Allstate. They own them. Oh, this is a different tier. This is a different. It's still owned by Allstate.
Right. Gotcha.
So they're different tiers, but no one company has better insurance than the other. Not even me.
Right. Okay.
Because
so what is that
when you give me your ID and your VIN number for auto insurance, I run it through the same system they run it through, and we get the same results back that everyone gets.
Okay. Okay. So I think what a lot of people look at, they thinking that if I go with Allstate, if something happens, I'm going to get whatever they tell me I'm going to get, which is my car replaced or this taken care of. Sometimes we think with other insurance companies, they just going to give me one side of my tire brake fixed and not the other side. We're thinking that way, but that's not, you're saying that's not the case?
That's definitely not the case because with my insurance company, I have underwriters. I do have Allstate as an underwriter.
Okay.
It's like it's like you're buying from the person. You're buying from Allstate.
Gotcha.
Allstate is not going to sell you insurance. They're going to pay people like us to sell you insurance.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So how marketable are you determines on how successful you're going to be. But the type of insurance that's not it. If you buy insurance, you're buying insurance. The Department of Insurance governs that, and they make sure that these companies pay. If not, then there are consequences behind reneging on those type of deals, and no one wants that.
I got you. Okay.
No one wants that. But no, I'm here to tell everybody, like, my insurance ain't better than nobody else's. The thing is, who's going to work harder for you to find you the more competitive rate with the different underwriters.
Okay.
And that's what the General does. They have such a big network that they can run through however many to get you the lowest rate.
That's what we joked about last night, because I was like, the new name is the General. And I was like, well, is the General insurance better than anybody else's, or is it cheap? And you're like, the General don't really do insurance. They just go to underwriters. They just, it's a brand recognition. They've created a brand of the General.
Okay. Like, I had no clue.
Because until I heard of Shaq, I didn't know who the General was.
Right. And I mean, Shaq got millions of dollars, but I mean, would he be doing, of course, why is he doing a General? And he's probably insured really by the General because, hey, General, go find me some insurance. They'll just find him some insurance. That's it. To cater to Shaq. Anybody can find you insurance to cater to you.
Gotcha. And the thing that I thought was interesting, and in a sense, I can see you turning out to be the people's insurance being just like the General insurance, because what was interesting to me, Shaq talked about how when he was in college, he didn't have the money to be getting insurance, and he had bought the car and didn't realize how high the insurance was. The only people that would cover him was the General insurance when he was in college. And he said he always remembered that. So when he got to be where he is, he said that's how he ended up being a partner with him. So
that's why I thought that the General was an actual insurance.
Right.
Actually, insurance company.
Right.
And he probably went to the general,
Mm-hmm.
and they found him some insurance that he could
That's what he
afford.
said.
Right.
But,
Right.
Right.
But the general, you understand what I'm saying? Like if you, okay, I was going to buy an Allstate agency.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are an Allstate agent, if you own an agency, you're a captive agent, which means you can't work for anyone other than Allstate. So I can't find you anything other than what we have to offer at Allstate. If I own an agency. State Farm, all the people that are captive can only quote from their company.
Mhm.
But when you get the general, he can quote from all the other companies because it's not a captive agency like Allstate and the bigger ones. So, Anchor, all those people, those are like brokers. When you go to Allstate, that's who you go to, Allstate. So you're going to get $1,000 if that's the lowest Allstate has to offer. But if you come to the People's Insurance and you're paying $1,000 with Allstate, I can go to a couple other ones to try to get you to maybe 500, half of what you're paying with Allstate. So that's one of the things. They don't have I'm sure they know people that they can send business to that don't fit, in their demographics. But other than that, they don't have the flexibility to be able to offer you that lower rate because of so many companies, because they're captive agents and they don't work for anybody else other than them. They told me I would have to either transfer my whole book of business to them, but any other people, I would have to drop everybody that wasn't with Allstate. Even all my existing book of business, if they didn't transfer over, I couldn't service them.
I got you.
So, Vidal, could you give us your information? So I'm gonna put it in the chat so that people can see it.
It's V Harris at thepeoplesinsurance.com. That's my email. My number is 252-218-93.
Vidal, I'm not no speed typer now.
I thought you was a 300 word a minute typer.
Well, look, I'm trying to
multitask. We're gonna make sure we put that information in.
.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harris at the People's Insurance.
And you guys,
and that's INS, not in just spell. It's the People's
INS.
with an S.
Ursula, keep some pen and paper around.
Hey, look, Ursula, you guys keep holding it down. For whatever reason, my outlet is not charging. So you guys keep going while I try to figure out why this laptop is not charging.
I got you.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, so it's V Harris at thepeoplesins.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the phone number?
252-218-9357.
Okay.
And the website, of course, thepeoplesinsurance.com.
So how long have you been in business?
I've been doing it for a while. I don't know the exact year I started. I start and stop because I do other things, but I've been doing insurance for a minute. I started, my very first company was Allstate. Was Aflac, and a lot of people start with Aflac, and then I just did different things.
Okay. So now, is it the People's INS or is it the People's Insurance?
It's the People's INS for my email.
But it's the peoplesinsurance.com for the website.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, I know you do insurance, but you also you got another business on another business. So what is that?
It's bail bonding.
And what's the name of that company?
TV bail bonding. Watch us get you out.
No.
Like that.
Like that. You did that. We're gonna have to do a commercial.
He stayed ready with it.
Look, I ain't mad at the hustle though.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
right.
That would be a cool commercial too.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're gonna make a commercial.
Nice
I can see that. Watch us get you out.
Very nice commercial on Facebook. We hope we don't need you.
Right,
but it's good to know.
I hope you don't.
Yeah.
I hope you don't. I hope you don't. I hope you don't.
You know what? But you know what? Let me say this.
But I'll come get you if you need me.
but you know what, Ursula? This is something I want to make sure we get Vidal back, because I think everybody should have in their phone bail bond.
Yeah.
Period. Because you get that phone call or you know something about to go down, you need to be able to say, let me press 9, which is Vidal. That's gonna
Yeah.
call. Because we can get that call from anybody. My son could be in a car, you know, people
Yeah.
get stopped for no reason.
Yeah.
Stuff
And I
happens.
literally have been called to for help, and
Yep.
I didn't have nobody. I had to scroll on Facebook
See what I'm
literally
saying?
and see if someone shares, and then I
Right.
got in contact with
Right.
someone. Yeah, I didn't
Right.
have nobody, so
Right.
it's definitely.
It's just
Unfortunate
like, you know,
circumstances happen to us all,
yeah.
and we
Yeah.
never know when, and we never know when it's going to happen.
And when it
Yeah.
happens, you know what? Watch him get you out.
There
Watch
you
it.
go.
Yeah, there you
What?
go.
What?
That's
Hey,
a
look.
fact.
Hey, I'm paying.
What
I'm
can
going to
get
pay
you
him.
out?
You know.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. That is
I
definitely a
and
have
fact.
I have a 20-year-old, so I constantly worry about him, out and about and things like that, because you never know.
yeah,
And
You're
right,
to
right.
be able to have someone to call, someone to be able to say, "Hey, I need you to help my son," is
Right.
a big deal,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
And be
I don't want to go
legit.
down there
You don't
because
have
then
to
somebody might
wait
have to get
half
both
a
of
day
us
for
out.
them to come. Yeah.
Yeah,
As,
and
as
hopefully it
saying,
doesn't go that far. It could be just for advice. I mean, anything. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Vidal, that's one thing I did want to make sure we get you back on Keeping It 100 or Insight TV. And we're
Mhm.
going to do a show that we just going to talk about the things you need to know about a bail bondsman, what you need to know when you call, you know,
Right.
how things work, how it operates,
A lot of people don't know the steps or the
Yeah.
the process.
Because see, when P. Diddy called me, I'm calling Vidal. Because he's going to need one shortly.
If they find him, if they find him.
Houston,
Oh, my
Houston.
bad. Vidal, look, man, we definitely appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate y'all for having me.
And look, remember, we did talk to you. You can definitely stick around. It's going to be an interesting show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ursula, I'm going to let you take it from here, run it from here.
Yes. So tonight we have Michelle Harrel. She did write the book Still Standing. She is a victor that overcame child molestation and child abuse. Her book, if you have not read it, we did, if you will click on the notification on the invite that I sent to everyone and the flyer on my page, if you click the link that says Still Standing, it will take you to Amazon so that you can purchase her book. And I suggest anyone that has younger kids or younger siblings or anybody that has any young children in their life, to me, should read that book, because I think it's an eye-opener to a lot of things that we as adults may miss, when you have situations like that. So, but yeah, we want to welcome Miss Michelle Harrel to Keeping It 100. How you doing, Michelle?
Hey.
Michelle, what's up?
Like,
What's up?
hey, like Fat Albert back in the day, like, yeah, man, yo, what's up?
So you know what? Now all of us are from the same place.
Okay.
So we're not Pitt County Lineans. What do we call each other? What are
From
we?
the same place.
We're in the same place.
That's right.
Look, I'm from Pitt County, so
Yep, I'm from Pitt County.
I love Pitt County. I love Pitt County.
There you go.
But
No doubt.
anyway, we're gonna Michelle, just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are before we get into everything else. A lot about who you are, what you do, things like that.
So I always tell people I'm simply Shell. I'm navigating life differently now. I'm a mother of one. I work at the local hospital. I serve in 2 capacities there. And I like to cook. I definitely like to eat. The beach
That's
is my
what we got in common.
I'm sorry, Ursula.
I said that's one thing we got in common.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need to come on so I can rattle some pots and pans for you.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm just, just navigating life and trying to see what this next chapter of life is going to be like.
I think a lot of us are in that situation where each chapter tends to bring a lot of different,
Yeah.
either possibilities, revelations, and I think once each year we get older, if you notice, each year you seem to know more about what you should have done before.
Yes.
Right.
I'm just hoping that I learn
That's life.
enough before I get too old that I can't do nothing about it.
Right.
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 And now that I finally stopped lying about being 25, maybe I can enjoy my 50s.
See,
Well, I ain't stopped lying yet, and I dare anybody to tell me I'm lying. So
you gonna keep on the same circle until you just come to the realization.
It's
You're
okay.
getting old.
It's okay.
You're getting old.
Because my daughter turned 25 last year, so
oh yeah,
You can't be the same age as your daughter.
Right.
Well,
Not
what I don't see, the
here.
reason why I lie is because when people see me and my mom together, like, oh, y'all look just alike. I'm like, wait a minute, that woman's in her 70s. We can't look alike.
Well, that just means she looked good for her 70s. That's all.
I said either she looked 50 something or I look 70 something. So you need to let me know.
And then you're gonna tell them you 25.
Yeah. Yes.
Lord.
Prove me wrong. Anyway, so Michelle, you did go to, and you went to Conley for a brief moment. You graduated from
J.H. Rose High Rampants.
I'm not gonna smile on that one.
All I can do on that one is
He disappeared.
There you go.
He disappeared.
Courtney disappeared too.
Y'all hating on my Rose Rampants. Don't do that.
Nah, I'm just messing.
Courtney,
what
high school you in?
North of the river, North Pitt Panthers.
Oh my God. You too,
North
Houston?
of the river.
North Pitt. Oh my God. It seems, Maurice, that we were the only two that knew what we were doing.
Yeah. Though I'm gonna say this, and everybody can get down me if they want to. I did have a hankering for J.H. Rose, but unfortunately, I was at Conley.
Did you say unfortunately?
Unfortunately,
yeah. Well, I started out going to school at St. Gabriel's and then Walcoats. But then,
oh wow, yeah, you supposed to be going to Rose.
Yeah, I was supposed to be going to Rose, but then we got moved out there to the country.
Gotcha.
Okay, all right. So we're not even going to talk about high school because evidently all of y'all were mistaken on what y'all were doing. Okay, the Vikings ruled all of Pitt County, but we're gonna let it go.
Yep, and you still 25 if you think that. Okay, go ahead.
Agreed.
Okay,
all right, let's get
Don't
to
double
the
team
book.
me. Anyway, so Michelle, I know your book is called Still Standing, and it can be found on Amazon.com. We did have the link on the flyer. I will post the link later in the show on the chat so that everybody can be able to see the link to the book.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And first, why did you use the title Still Standing? Self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is a testament of where I am. And don't get me wrong, there are different degrees of standing. Sometimes I might bend, but I never break.
There you go.
And standing, yeah.
So I guess getting into the book, the first question I have is, after surviving such a horrific ordeal, why open up your old wounds to write this book?
I didn't want to. It was never anything I wanted to do. It was never a thought I had, hey, I'm going to write a book and tell the world. That was the last thing I wanted to do. It was prophesied to me a few times, in my prayers and my journey with God. He said, I need you to write a book. And I said, no. And if you know God, you can't tell God no.
Mm-mm.
And it got to the point that I couldn't sleep at night. And literally the titles of the chapters and the words were swimming around in my head to the point I couldn't sleep. I had to get up and write.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, um, I'll tell you the last, the people that prophesied the book into my life, they told me that God had a purpose for it.
Mm.
As women's empowerment I went to, the keynote speaker he said a lot of things, but one of the things he said, and his topic was, I'm thinking about something. There are books and laptops that God has ordained to help people, but it's not going to do what you need it to do if it's still in your laptop. You need to get it out of your laptop. So that kind of put some urgency in me, and I finished the book.
Wow. Okay. Now I know, and that me, you've talked offline so many times about my book. You kind of put the fire back under me because now a lot of people have never written a book before, so they have to understand that you just can't sit down and just write it out.
Absolutely.
It comes in stages.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And your edits are numerous when you're
Tons.
trying to get this thing out. So how long did it take you to write your book?
Couple years.
Yeah. Some people think that, I got it in my head, I'm gonna just go and type it out. And honestly, my book has taken me, I'm probably on year 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I just scrapped and started all over again. And it's like, it wasn't what I wanted. So I changed it. I keep going back and editing. So in writing the book, how much opposition did you face when people realized you were writing the book?
Well, only my immediate family knew that I was writing. And when I say immediate family, that would have been like my best friend and my husband at the time. I did not let anybody know I was writing. It wasn't anything I was happy about. It wasn't anything I just wanted to tell the world. I wasn't excited about it. I was basically fulfilling an assignment.
So you didn't, nobody knew. What about once the book came out?
And once it came out, it was like, okay, I published it. I did tell my family then, gave my parents copies. My siblings had copies. And I just ordered like 50 copies. And I had it with me, but I wasn't really pushing it. I wasn't promoting it. I was just, hey, I wrote a book, and it depended on who it was, so I wasn't really, I was like, okay, God, my assignment is done. I wrote the book, is it over now? And it wasn't, but it wasn't a lot of promotion. I never did a book signing, anything like that. I just wrote the book. I think one of my did post it on Facebook.
Okay. So now I'm asking questions, but any of you guys have any questions for her offhand? So if not, I'm gonna. So getting into the book, share with us when your abuse actually started, and I mean like either the physical or the mental, because it's never really a sexual abuse in the beginning. It kind of, they always build that foundation to get there. So how old were you and what went about when the abuse first started happening?
I was about 10. I was about 10 years old. So my egg donor started dating this man. And I'll be honest with you, in the beginning, he seemed like he was just such a great guy. I mean, he did things with us. We were the Mama Joe soul food family on Sundays. We all went to church together. Then we went to my grandma's house after dinner. After church for dinner. He'd be there, interacting, and I think filling out the family, and then they got married. And they left and went on their honeymoon. And when they came back, we all moved in together, and we literally walked into the house and he stopped speaking to us, like night and day. So it's like, what do we do? Is something wrong? What's not okay? What changed? and he just didn't communicate with us at all. We could walk in the house and he'd be in the living room or the kitchen, and he would walk into his bedroom and close the door. Like he wanted nothing to do with us. So it wasn't long after that they bought this house out in the country on what I called it the dirt road. And when we moved into the house, she was like, "Hey, we're a family. We need to be interacting." I'm thinking to myself, "You need to be telling him that, not us." And so we sat down and had this big, family meeting, and we were all supposed to have been communicating and spending time and interacting as a family. And that's when I noticed he wanted to tickle me. And I got to tell you, I wasn't a curvaceous girl. I was real little, real skinny, but I had boobs and I had a butt. Okay. And I noticed that when he would tickle me, he would be touching my breast or touching my butt or kind of like reaching in between my legs. So I said, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play with him. I don't want to hang out with him. I don't want to be around him. And of course, then I became the problem. So it was a setup. It was a setup. You can't, well, she doesn't, I'm trying, and, she doesn't want to talk to me, or she doesn't want to be around me. And now I'm perceived as a problem.
So I know you said, and we all heard you mention the word egg donor. So I think that, felt that there was a little animosity from her towards you.
I've always felt that, even when I was a little girl. I'm a daddy's girl, y'all, like founding member and president of the Daddy's Girl Club. And I think when sometimes, because it's not in every case, sometimes when parents don't make it, one parent will try to sway the child to them and not the other, which is a horrible thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what she did. But I was old enough and perceptive enough to see, my daddy does love me. My daddy does come to see me. My dad does come play with me and pick us up and do things for us. And, he's a very present dad. So when you're telling me, your dad doesn't love you, your dad doesn't want you, doesn't really add up. But I think she needed allies. And I wasn't her ally. So I wasn't as important. Like I didn't get the little girl mommy talks like we talk to our daughters, when it's just about life, about our bodies and things that's happening. And I didn't get any of that.
So I got a question.
Go ahead, Maurice.
How did him and her get together? How did they meet? I remember reading in the book but tell us how they met. Who did the introductions and everything?
My deceased grandfather. He's deceased now, but he was a Mason. And this person was a Mason as well. So he introduced one of his Masonic brothers to his daughter.
Mm-hmm. I want to say something real quick on that note. I am also a 3rd degree Mason, but anybody that does that, I don't care if they took the obligation or whatever the case may be, they are not a Mason, and they're not my brother and everything, and they should be dealt with accordingly.
Yeah.
So when I read that and asked you about that, it really stirred something in me, because I'm like, I don't care in my book and where I stand, and I honestly hope he's watching and listening, but there is no brother. He is not a brother, not even close. But I just wanted to point that out there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I know nothing about the Masons. I mean, I know a little bit about the Masons, but I do know, as far as foundation wise, that they're a brotherhood who stick together and look out for each other, and about community and family. So him being a Mason, I was like, I was shocked to hear that. That's the first time I've heard that. Mm-hmm. So I do understand what Maurice was saying about that. So when you say that, the animosity was there, was it because she couldn't be with your father, or he didn't want to be with her, or?
And, I can't really give you concrete evidence on it, but she was 17 when I was born. He was 19. I don't know many 19-year-old men trying to, have babies and create families and
Right, right,
happily ever after.
right.
Do
True.
know the 17-year-old girl, when you fall in love for the first time and you have all these dreams and visions of grandeur, and this is going to be a fairy tale and we're going to be together forever and we've got this baby and it's just going to be a happily ever after and goody goody gumdrops and rainbows.
Right.
And then
Right.
reality sets in and it's not that. So you're hurt.
Yeah, and just to kind of the shows we've had in the past, Houston, about relationships and things like
Right.
that
Right.
does play a part in the relationships when these girls get into relationships and they have these babies out of wedlock, and then the guys don't want to be with them, and then they use the kids as pawns.
Yes.
To
Right.
make his life miserable, be it
Right.
with child support, keeping the child away from him so he can't see him. And when you do that and you deny a father being in their child's life, things like this can happen.
Yes.
Right.
And you're making it bad for the child too.
Yeah.
You're forgetting that is a decision is being made for three people at this point. So yeah, that child is also he's getting or she is getting the brunt of that situation, and it starts another cycle of that
Exactly.
all over again.
It
Yeah,
does. It
it's
does.
true.
So go ahead, Houston.
No. I was just going to piggyback on what you said a little bit. You know, there's so much research that talks about that, and it goes on both ends. But a lot of time, the mothers will have animosity towards that child if they look anything like that father,
Yeah.
if they have the ways like that father,
Yep.
if they adore that father,
So
Yeah.
they will have an issue with that child.
Mhm.
It's almost like they're trying to break them out of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You act just like your daddy. Who wants to hear that when you can't stand that man
Exactly.
Right.
for whatever reason, and it causes problems, and then you try to draw to someone else, and it just causes more issues. So, and when I read that, that part in the book about how, as you put it, you call it your egg donor, how you were treated. Being a child, I can't see how is you get through that.
Yeah.
You was talking about parts of your book about the thing that really got to me. One part that you mentioned, and I don't want to give the whole book away, which we're not going to do that tonight. I think everybody should read it. That you talked about, you wanted to spend time with your mother, and your family always take trips. Your aunt, your uncle, your grandmother, everybody takes trips. And you made a comment about how I made the decision. I don't know if you said you were 10. I'm not sure of the age. That you decided that I'm going to stay with my mom to spend some time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as your family drove off, you looked at your mom and said, "Let's play hide and seek." Do you
Yep.
remember that part?
I do.
You said that you wanted to play hide and seek with your mom, and she said, "Okay." And
She
I
did.
guess you must have counted. You've been the one counting,
Yeah.
and then you stopped counting and start looking for her and couldn't find her, and then you go to the door and notice that the door of the house is locked
It was locked.
and left you sitting outside. You are an incredible writer, because when I read that, I could visualize and see every part of that book.
What did I
Every
tell
part
you?
of that scene,
Yeah.
every part. I was sitting there picturing you sitting on the third step. You might have been on the top.
Just like this.
Yeah. And you
Just like that.
and you described it in the book about putting your hands on your face and sitting there
Mhm.
outside. And I can only imagine what's going through your mind as a child, that you like, my mother locked me out of the house and we're supposed to be playing hide and seek.
Mhm.
And like you said, and the part that really got me too is you said, I really don't remember if she apologized or not, which most likely probably not, with everything else that you talk about in the book. But as being able to write something like that and to articulate it so well in a book, I think everybody needs to read this book.
Yeah.
Wow.
I told her when I read it, because I got the book and Maurice shared it. I think Maurice, like the second time you came to Keeping It 100, when you started being on the show, he brought me the book. And I think I read through the first chapter and I stopped. I think I went further than the first chapter and I stopped because one, knowing what, somebody violating you feels like, I just didn't want to read it.
Right.
I kind of already had an idea. And so I didn't want to relive her trauma and mine.
That's right.
And so you told me, you said, go ahead and finish the book, go finish the book. And so the night you told me that, I went and I read it from beginning to end before I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And like Houston said, I could literally, it was like a movie. The way you described the events in the book, I was replaying it in my head like a movie. That's how good the writing was.
Thank you.
And so, but yeah, you detailed some very graphic things in the book. Now, you didn't. It was. I'm trying to say it the right way. It wasn't vulgar.
It was real
in writing, but it was specific and very detailed.
Okay.
And so, like, the other question was, what was your darkest moment, and what did you do or think at that time, and how did you overcome that situation?
Wow, to say the darkest, that's hard because there were so many.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to choose one, so, and this is in the book as well. So we're all, I'm not sure about Courtney, but we're the same age pretty much. Remember strawberry shortcake and blueberry muffin? Yes, my granny had bought me a strawberry shortcake nightgown. And this particular night, he was just playing head games because that's what he did. Made me come out of my room to the living room and lay on the couch. And, I'm so sorry I'm doing this to you. And he stripped me naked. He bound and gagged my mouth with duct tape. And I hate duct tape. I don't like it. Don't ask me to touch it. Don't ask me to hang anything up with it. I don't like duct tape. He bound my wrist and my feet. And initially, he put the gun in my vagina. And so the only thing I could think was, he's going to pull the trigger. It's going to go straight up through my head, and it's going to be quick. But because I didn't know, enough about bullets, that some bullets actually bounce around inside your body and you suffer and things like that. I'm a kid. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just thinking it's going to go straight up. And I remember thinking, wow, I'm going to die this way. And I remember thinking to myself, will they be able to open my casket? I remember thinking, because in the thought, the bullet's going to go up. It's going to go out the top of my head and it's going to be over. I think that was the darkest of the dark. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thinking, when is he going to pull the trigger? And don't get me wrong, I've experienced a lot of weapons from him or with him. I've had a weapon in every orifice of my body except for my anus. But when you know that it's there and his finger is on the trigger, what else do you think?
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen. You know what's going to feel like. When is he going to pull the trigger? So I would have to say that was probably the darkest.
Wow.
Now, in the book, you also mentioned that, oddly enough, that your source of strength to get through all of those situations and the abuse that he and your mother projected onto you was the fear that he was going to harm your mother and your sister. Mm-hmm. And the question is, looking back now, how does it feel like you at such a young age that you were more protective and you were able to give unconditional love to them while being still a child yourself and not getting that in return?
I will say it has shaped who I am, but no child should be put in that position. we, and I'm gonna put this on women, we don't make babies by ourselves, but we need to understand whether we're happily married, whether we got a boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever. When we have these children, these are our babies. And if you're not ready, or if you're trying to have a baby to trap a man or to use it as a pawn, children are not bargaining tools. Don't have that baby, because that child should never have to be put in that position. For me, and it's innate in every child until it isn't anymore, to want your mom, love your mom, to want to be a part of your mom. Every child wants to be loved on. We're the nurturers. Dads are the protectors. Women, we're the
Keeping it
nurturers.
real.
Yeah.
Right.
The goal oriented guys. They're about goals.
Yeah. So I mean, that's their job, in my opinion. It takes a village. Yeah, it's a team effort, but
Right.
it's innate. Who wants to see her dead?
Yeah.
Who wants to see, especially my little sister, because that was my baby. So even now, I'm very protective over people. You sick, I'm the one in here making a pot of soup and running to your house, baby, what you need. You need me to clean up a little bit, you need me to wash dishes, you want me to take care of you. It's innate in me, and it was strong even as a kid. But no child should ever have to be put in that position.
No.
But it did with my motivation for keeping my mouth shut, for just kind of going along to get along, because I didn't want anything, because he would always remind me, you don't forget, if you tell, I'm gonna kill your mom and your sister, right? I gotta take them out,
And I think that's the go-to for most abusers. They find what you care about the most,
Right.
and they use that to manipulate you about taking it away from you. And it's the same playbook even to this day. And I, being in situations similar to what you're talking about, I literally had to, like you said, it shaped who I am, and it shaped how I talk to my daughter, because I let her know. And she doesn't really go to a lot of sleepovers. She has certain friends and families that here in Raleigh that we've been with since she was very like a baby. And I have to, if my daughter said at your house, I really trust you. You know what I'm saying? That's just it. And so, but I let her know, if someone threatens you about what they're going to do to me or what they're going to do to you, then you agree. Yes, I won't say anything. I won't say anything. But the minute that you lock eyes with me, as long as I am in the vicinity of where you are safe.
Right. Right.
Well, I said, I don't care if that person is still standing there. You make sure you let me know. And we have like safe words. If she's at a sleepover or whatever, she'll say, I'm like, call me and say something that we come up with like different scenarios. And if you say that, I'm in the car coming to get you.
Right.
And on that note, this is what, and my daughter's dad used to tell her all the time. And let me tell you something, this is not anything we need to tell our kids. We thought we were doing the thing, we were being protective. First thing you say is, if anybody ever do anything to you, you let me know, because mommy will go to jail for you, daddy will go to jail for you. Let me tell you what that kid thinks. That kid thinks, I can't tell them because I don't want to lose my family. I don't want to lose my village.
Right.
I can't tell them because mommy and daddy are going to go to jail and they're not going to be here to protect me. I pray that nobody else will ever tell their child that. I mean, we didn't realize, the depth of what we were saying.
We were trying to convey to them, they were trying to convey to us that, nobody's going to ever do anything because I'm going to always be protected, and I tell my daughter, I'm not going to jail. I don't tell her that. I do believe that I would, but I'm not going to tell her that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know with everything in me what I'm going to do.
Right.
But I try to get her, I always want her to feel safe enough to tell me anything.
Right. I think the thing of it is, it just needs to be, understood by that child that no matter what the situation, and I'll tell my son that, no matter what's happening, you let me know and we deal with it accordingly.
Exactly.
You know, don't keep it to yourself. Even if you think I'm gonna get pissed off and mad, or not so much about this,
Yeah.
just any situation, you
Mhm.
can deal with that. But promise you that if you tell me, it's gonna be a whole lot better if you don't tell me, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But tell me so I can work from there and figure out the problem. Because, like you said, if something like that would happen, even when I had stepdaughters, I would tell them all the time, uh, you know, and Michelle, you know me from back then.
Yeah.
I anything happen, I got you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you back. I'm not saying that I'm gonna do anything and go to jail, but and I will tell Cricket this. I said, but if that person end up missing, you and I
Right.
know what happened.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
But
Yeah.
something about this, something gonna go down. Whether he and I gonna have a long conversation, and he gonna be too scared to touch anybody else until I can get him behind bars. But he might be missing.
Yeah.
But don't worry about the consequences. Just make sure you tell me, because you holding it like Shell did, holding this story for so long, it drives your direction of your life.
Yeah.
It does.
Even if you don't know it, it drives the direction that you go in your life. And so being able to have someone to talk to, even when it happened, if we had therapy back then, if we had that type of stuff, things could have been different. But
And
but with
you
this
I was
book, it
afraid to
makes
tell
it different.
anybody.
So what now?
I was afraid to tell anybody.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We didn't have therapy like you couldn't tell anybody. You didn't want to tell anybody, or you might want it to, but you were afraid to.
Afraid. Yes.
And I think that's why books like this are important, so kids understand you gotta tell somebody.
Somebody. And I think another issue is the resilience that we, as kids of the 70s, 80s, and some of the 90s, we had more resilience than a lot of kids these days
Hmm.
because bullying in school, when we were in school, it was a bad thing, of course, but we endured and we got through it because we knew high school was not going to be forever.
Right.
And we learned how to cope, be it being, studious, being, going to sports, being, mechanic, whatever our little niche was, that we got through it.
Right.
But kids these days, kill themselves
Yes, they do.
over just bullying in school.
Yes,
Peer
they do.
pressure is
Yeah.
terrible.
And I have to talk to my daughter on the level of kids these days because I'm like, let it go, don't worry about it. It's just, kids acting stupid, but it's their life. That's the bullying now does not stop when you get off the school bus.
Right.
That social media is something,
Yeah.
you know.
You know how they
So,
say, you know how
huh?
they say, that there's an old African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out, when did that proverb come out and what part of Africa did it come from? Because I've never seen it. I've never seen a community uh, do anything like that for kids. In fact, when I grew up, and I grew up across the street from Michelle, so I was there during that time frame. But the sad part about it is that, and in her book, she mentions it, that there were adults that knew, at least one in particular, that knew what was going on
Mhm.
and did nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody made a call. Nobody called the police. And these are so-called Christians who's supposed to have the backing of children,
But
of
see,
their own brother, of their
you
own
just
sister.
you
And it
answered
didn't
your own
happen.
question. You pretty much answered your own question. So-called Christians,
Right.
Yeah,
because
so-called Christian. And we all know that the word Christian is supposed to mean light, okay, or supposed to be light. Well, where was the light? So how much darkness was there? Because I didn't see any light. Okay, that's the sad. She saw no light, during that time that was going on. And it's terrible.
yeah,
I've read the book twice,
yeah,
and and I sit back And I go back to my childhood and I think, well, darn, I was going through similar stuff because I call my so-called mother egg donor. I don't even see, I don't have anything to do with the person because of the toxicity and what went down as a child. But across the street, she's going through that. It makes me wonder who else in my neighborhood was going through that.
Yeah.
Going through that. You know,
Yeah.
you got folks now. They have they live in closed or gated communities, and I'm like, do you really think that makes you safe and everything? You know, that guy across the street, you know, he may seem like a nice guy and wave and speak and will tell you something that seems to help you out and everything, but behind closed doors, he's doing horrible stuff on a regular basis. He'll
Yeah.
smile. I was fooled that way.
Yeah.
And I guess
It
I have so
becomes
much passion. I have so much passion about her book. I have so much passion towards her and that situation because, you know, on the side, I was fooled.
yeah.
So it makes me wonder where that proverb came from for real because I don't see a community or a village raising a child. I
Yeah.
don't see it.
Just push pause right there. Maurice said that, he calls his big donor. If you're watching the show and you're having a conversation with someone and, you asked about their mother and they said, well, oh, I don't deal with her, I don't talk to her. Please do not say, well, that's your mom. She brought you into the world. She gave you life. Da, 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 da. Don't do that because forget walking a mile in their shoes. You may not even be able to put your big shoe.
That's right.
So you have to. You can't relate. You don't understand, and you don't know. So you're judging the person saying what that person should do, and you don't even know the situation.
Yeah.
If you don't know what's going on and you don't care to ask, or the person doesn't care to share, but I think if one more person tells me, "Oh, well, that's still your mother," you should reach out, you should do this.
There are mothers that have killed their children.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
you know, I'm not gonna I don't believe in force feeding anybody a relationship with somebody they can't that has harmed them.
Absolutely,
You know, um
it's toxic.
that
That's
there are people in, the story of the lady that went on vacation for 2 weeks and left her the baby was 9 months old, 8 months old, alone at home by himself.
but that's an egg donor. She donated an egg.
And she had the audacity to stand in court in front of the judge and say, well, I know that God forgives me and my child forgives me. Let me tell you something. I'm a mom. I do believe some people were put on this earth to be a mom, be it to their own children or to somebody else's child. I'm a mom through and through because I love my children. I love my stepchildren. I have adopted children into my life throughout the years from jobs at the school, from jobs, I was working for the county. I love children. And anybody that can do that does not need to be called a mother. They're not even a human being to me,
Exactly.
because nobody with a heart or soul could do that. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to your book, Michelle. This is pretty much a sensitive question, and I've answered this question for myself. But like in the midst of your abuse, how as a little girl were you able to endure being sexually assaulted, and since your abuse, how are you able to have a healthy sexual relationship? Because a lot of people shut down. I did.
I used to want to be normal so bad. I don't.
Mhm.
I accept the fact that I'm not a normal person. I get it, but
Yeah.
and because I did not experience
Her audio is going. Your audio is
Your
going out.
audio's going.
it. Okay,
There you go.
because
It's still.
I think she muted something.
Are you muted?
no,
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
no, I'm normal so bad. I was of love.
Okay, wait, 'cause it's like it's
Yes, you
going
going in and out.
in and out. Just it was now you're silent.
I haven't touched anything.
There you go. We can hear you. I know. I think your internet may be causing it to break in and out, possibly.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
There we go.
I understand that I'm not normal, and I used to, as a kid, want to be normal so bad. And because I hadn't really experienced a lot of love in my home, I wanted to know what love was. And so at that time, I equated sex with love.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to know what it was like for somebody to love me. So I could, and it was two different things. When you are with someone that you care about and you feel like cares about you, is totally different from being with some nasty, grown tail man that is violating you. It's different, you know. So I was able to differentiate.
So, and I mean, in my case, it was pretty much to me. I felt like I led a double life
Yes, absolutely.
because because I had to be one way in a relationship with someone else. But even I found that past life encroaching upon my relationship because if you grab me a certain way or touch me a certain way, I'm ice cold,
Yes.
you
Or I,
know.
um, my significant other and I had a situation. We were watching some crazy movie. Remember what the movie was now, and he was just playing with me, but he came up behind me,
Hmm.
freaked out a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
it and it hadn't happened in a while. It solidified. This is always with me. You know, it's always going to be there. So there are
Always
certain
gonna be
things
there.
that I realize can't happen. And I mean, we play and do, we have a normal relationship, but things, you just can't come up behind me all kinds of fashion, especially, you know, when my mind is somewhere else or I've seen something that takes me to a place that I should have never been anyway. So, and I'm still not going to say I'm normal. I don't even care about being normal anymore. I embrace abnormality because it's just who I am. But I don't want my abnormalities to. I try hard to not let my abnormalities make my significant other feel alienated, if that makes sense. Because I've been alienated most of my life.
And me and Houston, we've known each other for a while, and we talked the other day, Houston. With me, I like to laugh. I
Right.
spend enough time crying and
Yeah.
being sad and upset that now I live to laugh and have fun.
Hmm.
That's me because life is way too short. Now I've endured things in my past that still live with me today, but because I chose to be in a happier place, it does show its head every now and then. But for the most part, I focus on fun things, good things to kind of help me combat the bad things.
Right.
So now, and so when this abuse was happening, what was going through your mind? How did you endure being assaulted? Like, how did you get through it each time?
Initially, it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing. I wanted to die, just not at his hands. I really wanted to die.
Mm.
Then my thought became, if I die, am I going to be here to protect my mother and my sister? Um, if I'm going to do this to my sister.
Mm.
Um, so it just became a part of life.
Mm.
I was like living a double life, and to step out and try to be what you think is normal. You really don't know what normal is, but to try to be what you think is normal on the outside of the house. But you know, as soon as you step inside the house, normal is nowhere in this home, nowhere within these four walls at all. At least not for me.
Gotcha.
So with everything that happened, and I know, like you said, there were so many things that happened. What's the one thing? I know we talked about one of the darkest moments, but what is the one thing in that timeline that jumps out at you that happened? Now, I know for me in the book, it was the bullet.
Mm.
That to me, and I've read the book all the way through, and I know you said you only wrote a
I love
fraction of the things that happened to you. So the bullet was the one that still to this day, when I think about your book, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
it's kind of hard to pick out. It's kind of hard to pick out the words. It all was hell. If you just ask
Mm-hmm.
about it sometimes. I tell myself, it can't be written. This is like a nightmare, a horror movie, but it's this real, and I've lived it
Mm-hmm.
first. She's a good friend now. He endured the same abuse by the same person that comes from her. So we were trying to take those.
You're starting to break out again.
Try bringing the volume down a little bit. I'm wondering if it's too loud and it's breaking up.
How's that?
Not-
Yeah.
Okay. So, and she and I talk, we have an amazing relationship. And sometimes the things we talk about, we try not to go to the negative all the time, but sometimes it just goes there. And I'm like, no, I didn't dream this. I didn't make this up. I didn't imagine it. It wasn't in a book. It wasn't a horror movie. It was the horror movie of our life.
I missed the part of who were you talking to about this, because you just said that what I could hear, that sometimes it just goes there. Is this someone you were talking to, your sister, or
A dear friend of mine who actually suffered the same abuse at the hands of the same person.
oh really?
Yeah.
See, and I have not had a chance to go through the whole book. I got it yesterday because I misplaced the one you gave me. It's at home. I got to find it. But do you bring that up in the book as far as
Yes.
how it all came out, how it came about? Now I stepped away for a minute, so did I miss that part already?
No. So basically, I have been going through this for a lot of years, and I just wanted out. I was miserable. I wanted to die. I hated the fact that I was still breathing. I just wanted to go stay with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my daddy's girl, always have been, am right now. And I begged the whole while, just please let me go live with my dad. Just please let me go live with my dad, because I knew my dad was a safe place. And finally, she agreed. She agreed to let me go. And I was ready to pack right then and go. And then, of course, she talked to her husband, and he was like, well, right, now shall we to the end of school year. Now I'm miserable again. And she's upset and miserable because it's beyond level that I don't want to be with you. I don't want to live in your house. I don't want to see you every day. I don't even really want to have anything to do with you. I just want to get out of this situation. And in the abuser's mind, I guess he thought if she leaves here and goes to stay with her dad, she's going to tell him what I've been doing. That's going to open the whole can of worms. So he tried to take my life that night. Again, but this time there was the beatings. You know, he cut my throat, not fatally, of course, but he intended to taking me out that night.
So
And- Go ahead.
let me ask you a question. Let me go back so I can understand. You were living with your mom and your stepfather,
Okay.
and then where was she during the midst of all this? Was she working a second shift job? Was she working?
She worked second shift.
That'd be my
So
question.
he would go to work like first thing in the morning, and he'd get home in the afternoon, like when we were home from school. And then he would go to his other job, like 6 o'clock in the evening, and come back. He'd be back by 10 when he worked the other job. Other than that, he was just at home with us at night.
Gotcha. Because that's why I was wondering, like, where was she doing all this? You know, when all this was going on, she had to been working an off shift. You know, how did he have so much time?
Most of the time she was at work, but then there were times the very first time he touched me, she was in the kitchen.
Okay, right. I can understand what you were saying about that because he was trying to play tickle games, stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
So, you know, the very first time he touched me, she was in the kitchen. We were in, you know, her bedroom, me, him, and my sister, and we were just watching TV. And I slid down on the floor, and he literally came down there and stuck his hands in my pants. I had never experienced anything like that before. And it wasn't a good reaction.
Right.
No.
It wasn't a good reaction. And sometimes we would all be in the house, and, you know, you could look across the hall from bedroom to bedroom. The door was open, and he'd be like, you know, come out your room, come out your room. To make me stand there in the hallway, she was in the bathroom or something like that, just so he could touch me. So
Right.
she wasn't always.
Right. He was being slick about the things he was doing, even while she was home.
Right.
Yes.
But
No,
I just wanted to ask, you know, granted, he is clear he was the bad guy. Can y'all hear me?
yeah.
Granted, he was definitely
Sorry?
the bad guy.
Oh, just
But-
two. I can put him right here. I
I
can
can
take him
still
up.
hear you, babe.
Thank you.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Could he? What
Go ahead.
happened?
Go ahead.
Okay. Clearly, he was the bad guy, but he wasn't the only villain in this story.
No, he wasn't.
And the egg donor, how do you think she knew what was going on?
I do. And let me tell you
After reading the book, I think she knew.
why. My significant other now can't tell me, hey, you and your daughter get ready to go to the store. Well, she can't go. You gotta leave her here with me. She got to be back here with me. She can't go up there with you. And if you think about, you know, whether you're married in a relationship and you sleep in the same bed sometime, you may not know when your significant other gets up out of the bed at that moment, but eventually you'll know that they got up, or, you know, that they're not in bed. You know, you get used to sleeping beside somebody. Don't put on when you roll over to reach out and touch them, they're not there. You have little boys in your house. You never stop to think, where is he?
Mm-hmm.
Think she knew, and she couldn't handle the reality of walking outside and seeing it, outside her bedroom door and seeing it.
And
Now,
when you became an adult, I'm sorry, I
Go
keep
ahead. Go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
And
Mary.
when you became an adult and you're now moved on You're beginning to move on with your life.
Mhm.
Tell us what she did. How she was what she said. Tell us about when you was getting ready to get married.
Okay. Okay.
Now, is that in the book as well?
Yes.
It is. It is. So I got married early. I was 20 when I got married, and my fiance, at the time, he proposed. We were all excited. We were planning the wedding. And again, it's innate for a child to want their mother. Okay. I hadn't gotten past it yet. And dropped me off at her house. I said, listen, let's go. And at least and he wouldn't go in. He was not having any parts of it. But he dropped me off on, in the corner of her house, and I walked in, told her, I said, listen, he asked me to marry him, and I said yes, and we're going to get married, and I would like for you to be there. Said, you're getting ready to get a husband, and that's something I no longer have because of you. As far as I'm concerned, I only have one child. And I was so upset. I ran out of the house. I was crying blindly, and I'm just running. And my fiance obviously saw me coming, and I done ran out in front of a car. I hear horns blowing, but I'm thinking it's him until he just kind of grabbed me and, put me in the car, because it wasn't his car that I ran in front. I mean, my eyes were closed. I was crying because I'm thinking to myself, he's in prison. We've gotten, I thought we were kind of working past. And for her to tell me that she no longer has a husband because of me. No, she no longer had a husband because of the stuff that he did.
Right.
So
Again, my fault.
So the other question I have is, when this all went to court, there were other people who corroborated your story because it happened to them by the same person.
Yeah.
So, and as a mother, if you had any doubt about what you were saying before, if somebody's going through the same exact thing and telling you the same exact thing, and I don't even know this person, when are you gonna wake up and something happened?
There's a part of me that feels like certain people can't live in reality. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
We have to live in this make-believe
Yes.
world because we really cannot handle reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, go ahead.
it's in the book. One of the other ladies, and this one actually came and testified. And she testified the same things that I did. He did, it's a pattern. Like I get up in the morning, I take my shower, put my clothes on, I put my shoes on. That's my pattern. He abused in a pattern. Except for this woman, you didn't have abortions then. Okay. She had her child. And the product of that sexual abuse. And so when she testified that, the judge said, well, hey, go get the kid. So we literally went to recess, and we're all sitting around in the room, and she walks in with this little girl. She looks more like him than the children that he's claiming, the ones that we know about. And the whole courtroom goes, oh. She looks just, and don't get me wrong, this woman is, and I mean, I think the world of her, but she looked like her.
Wow.
And if you didn't know before then, you knew then.
Mm-hmm.
You knew then.
Now,
Then the judge did a court order DNA test. You know what Medea say? Dana don't lie.
right?
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Sure
I
don't.
hadn't heard that one, but okay.
Dina,
Yeah.
don't lie.
DNA. It's DNA here.
DNA.
You know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew what you. That's the first time I heard that term like that, and I was like,
Oh, you're a Medea fan,
You gotta
so
be a Tyler
everybody know
Perry
that
fan,
line.
baby.
right.
Now, another, and it's also a sensitive question, but I'm asking because a lot of people don't understand they have a preconceived notion of a sexual abuse situation. Okay. So most they don't understand that sometimes even when you're being raped, while your head and your heart is screaming one thing, your body can react to the act of sex.
It can. It's though for me.
Yeah, no,
You
and
can
I will
and
say,
you can be raped and have an erection. Okay, it's not what you want, but human nature.
and the
Yeah.
reason why I'm bringing that question up is because men are raped too.
Absolutely.
And I need people to understand that, it also falls in the category of what you wear or where you are, how much you had to drink, and people tend to put those. If you fall in those categories, you can't claim abuse or assault or rape.
That's so not true.
It's not true
That's
because
not true.
then their bodies can react whether they want it or not. Understand?
Yeah,
And then if your body reacts, I know women who said their body reacted and they never said anything because they felt like their body wanted it.
it's and sometimes I think you can misconstrue that.
I was about to say the same thing, but,
Yeah.
let me see how you address that.
So being with a man that I desire
Mm-hmm.
is completely different than
Exactly.
that I was 11 when he finally took my virginity.
Mm-hmm.
I, somebody had just ripped me apart. Let's
Yeah.
just be real. It the ripping apart feeling eventually went away because it was a constant thing, but it was never where, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
That was never there. That
So
was never,
when we talk about their reaction, men tend to think if a woman is lubricated,
uh-huh.
that they're ready and they're willing. That is not always the case.
No, it's not.
Just like if a man is erect, does not mean if to given a situation
Absolutely.
that he wants sex.
That's right.
So, and I need people to understand that if you are in any situation that someone is wanting you to perform any kind of sexual act or anything like that, whether you're a guy and you're erect, whether you're a girl and you're lubricated, does not mean it's okay for them to do anything they want to you.
Absolutely. I mean,
Because
ask the average man. The average man has erections in the middle of the night while they're asleep.
Yeah.
That's just
Or
how.
in school, look, or in school, just sitting there at, in class or what have you. Or if you, like me, I was 6 years old when a 12-year-old female molested me, that my egg donor would, in Baltimore, she would just drop us off at different people's houses, while she went out and did what she wanted to do. And this 12-year-old girl was doing that. I didn't know what was really. I knew I had an erection at that point in time, but it's not like I wanted to do it. I didn't even know what sex was back then, but
You
I
didn't
can remember what, those moments, down in that basement with that girl. So
you didn't even understand your body at 6.
no,
right.
But
no,
it
at
react-
all.
you think about it. You change a baby boy's diaper and the air hits him. He's going to get an erection. And it's a
He
baby.
Exactly.
everywhere.
Yep.
He
Yep.
he in everywhere. So I mean, it's a
Hmm.
body. A body has a natural reaction to certain stimuli.
Right.
So people have to understand. Just know if you have any doubt, if you don't want to do something and someone does it anyway,
Hmm.
Because
it's
you've
wrong.
been, yes.
You're
No, it's
being violated. Period. So now, also in the book, you after telling your truth, you said it divided your family. Has the family been able to come back together since this traumatic experience?
Well, it divided me from okay. It divided me from the family. They were always good. They
Oh, okay.
they supported each other. They were, you know, got you some out there. Like when I did start to mend some familiar relationships, and I'm at my grandparents' house and I'm looking in a photo album of family events, grandparents' anniversary dinners and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, everybody was here except for me. And I'm told what became the thing whether we're gonna invite you or we're gonna invite her. And we chose her. So they're fine. They still get along. They're I don't deal with all of them. I speak, but I wouldn't eat their cooking. I don't go to their house, and I definitely don't want them at mine.
Mhm.
I have very few. Now, my cousins, me and my cousins are good. A lot of my cousins were younger. They didn't understand what was going on anyway. My
Gotcha.
two oldest cousins, who are like my brothers, there was no ifs, ands, or buts for them. If Shell said it, it happened. What's wrong with y'all? And I had one uncle who, right at the gate, he was like, he ours. We don't know him. If she said this happened, what is wrong with y'all?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But one of the cousins and the uncle is deceased. The other cousin, that's my man, 100 grand. He
Right.
never faltered. But a lot of the other relatives, yeah, and some of them still look at me sideways. Some of her cousins, so I guess that would be my second cousins. They still look at me sideways.
Now I know you did say you contemplated killing yourself.
Yes.
What was the breaking point when that first crossed your mind?
Going through the abuse, I didn't want to live, but I didn't want my life to end at his hands. I'd rather take it myself.
Mm.
But I didn't do anything to end my life. The very first year of court, took my mom's gun. And in my teenage head, I was a little girl, I always wore a bang. In my teenage head, I thought if I shot myself right here, then when my daddy buried me, they could still just hold my name over the hole. I didn't have enough common sense to know that if I put a bullet in my head's going to explode. I didn't.
But do you notice, and I realized throughout the book when you were talking, even talking now, every action that you made was to protect or help another person. I'm gonna take my life, but I'm gonna do it in a way where my dad can still bury me by, I'm gonna shoot myself here and cover it with my bang. Like that was in the same level of concern of taking your life as being able to, what, I don't want my dad to see me looking crazy or, my head blown off. I'm gonna do this so that he can still have a funeral for me.
I hadn't thought about it like that. The next year when we got ready to go to court, because we were in court for 3 years. So I have a god brother that I love dearly, and his girlfriend was my locker mate. And I can't even remember what bottle of pills she had. And I thought to myself, if I just take this bottle of pills, I don't have to go to court next week. So I saw the bottle of pills. She realized something was wrong, so she said, hey, so he called my folks and he was like, I'm gonna pick her up from school, we can hang out. And God, I just got sick. It was like Tylenol or it was something like I don't know what it was. But I took a lot of pills, I had to go to sleep. And all I do is make me sick. And I can remember her being happy because
You started to break up a little bit more.
what now?
You were breaking up a little. You started to break up again.
So when he called, he said, hey, I'm gonna pick Shell up, we're gonna hang out a little bit. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna run grab something to eat. And he picked me up, and him and his girlfriend were at the house. They were in the bathroom with me. I was vomiting, and he was literally holding my hair while I vomited in the bottle of pills. She got to the point, she said, I can't take it. And she left. He literally sat there and held my hair while I vomited in the toilet, the bottle of pills that I took.
Mm.
That's when I realized I can't run from it. God's not going to let me take my own life. I got to put my big girl panties on and I got to do this the right way. And then I realized also that if I wasn't here, he may not pay. And, don't ever know how a jury is going to decide. But daggone it, I got to do everything I can do to try to make sure he doesn't do this again.
So now I know you said you went to court, and of course he was convicted. And and I know probably family members went to court, and people heard you tell your side of the story and in detail, knowing what he did. So once these people started coming forward, especially the woman with the child, did anybody come back and apologize to you?
No. Actually, they had one of my cousins to lie, made her.
You're breaking up. Go ahead.
They made one of my cousins lie. She was a kid. They shouldn't have a choice. They made her lie and say that I told her I read the story in a Reader's Digest. And what they did not know, that my daddy had every reader.
Oh, then you broke up again. Go back and
Let me get closer to the door. They told me I made the story up. I read it in the Reader's Digest. And they realized that my
you're still breaking up real bad.
Try to get closer to the door.
Okay.
They told her to say I had read it in the Reader's Digest. My dad had been the Reader's Digest for years, so they had every one of them. They went through a fine-tooth comb. It was not in there.
Oh wow! So they knew then that she was just saying what they wanted her to say.
I didn't get an apology until I was grown and married, and my daughter was in elementary school.
Wow.
I got a question.
Okay.
Do you believe that the egg donor should be in jail along with him?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely. I do too.
Totally agree.
I totally agree. Any woman that will not defend or protect her children and allow anyone to abuse her children
Exactly.
deserves the same exact sentence that the person who committed the actual abuse gets. Period.
Especially if she knew.
Exactly.
But they've never been able to really prove the fact that she knew this, or did it ever come up in court that she knew this?
She said that she's still saying it didn't happen. That was her thing.
Because even to this day, she still does not believe that it happened. Is that correct?
She says that sometimes we have to find another little world to live in because reality is a little bit too rough for us.
Right.
It's a little too much for us to deal with. So, I mean, he's incarcerated. He's still very. She probably boasts his name.
They are still happy. They're still happily married, right?
In her book, yeah.
So he's been in prison how long? Or roundabout?
35 years.
35.
So he's been in prison for 35 years.
Yes.
They've been still married for this entire 35 years he's been in prison.
Yes.
Okay.
How long is his sentence?
2 life sentences per year.
Wow.
Wow.
Now you did say you still have to go back to the parole board every 2 years.
And with 2 times we did Zoom conference calls,
Mm-hmm.
but I have instructed my daughter and my significant other that if that I cannot speak, then write it. But
You broke up a real bad. You said you can't speak. What now?
I can't speak, then bring me a note and I will write it down and have it notarized that I contest his. If I cannot speak on my own behalf, if I cannot write, then they are to do it with me.
Gotcha. I understand.
Let me ask.
Michelle,
Really?
Go ahead.
Michelle,
Houston,
I
go ahead,
would
Houston.
like to thank you. Okay. I would like to thank you on behalf of every little girl and woman now, okay, that, and including boys, that you do what you do, that you're continually going out there and making sure that this individual stays where he belongs. Because if he was out there, somebody else would be done. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you for your consistent diligence, and that I hope you continue to do that so that he will stay and serve the 2 life sentences, which is more than what he deserves. Okay? He deserves so much more. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But thank you for what you're doing.
So now,
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. My hope and the whole purpose of this book is that every girl
you
and
went out.
every boy,
Okay.
I said my hope for this book and my testimony and me willing to talk about it and be an advocate for them is that every little girl and every little boy and that every big girl and every big boy find peace on the other side of their abuse, saying that we don't have to be what society says we are because we've been abused. We don't have to be drug dealers. We don't have to be prostitutes. We don't have to be some level of promiscuity that comes with it. We don't have to be homosexuals. And I'm not knocking homosexuality, but
Mhm.
don't let someone took something from you.
You broke up. You said,
You
but
broke
but
up
what you were
again.
saying is don't let that abuse turn you into a direction that you would otherwise not have went. Now that you just answered my one of the next last question was what you want your book to accomplish. But in the book, and then we have about 10 minutes left. Um, you mentioned that you detailed just a fraction of your abuse. Does that mean we can look forward to another book?
Concentrate on the abuse.
Go ahead.
Right now, I'm writing again. I don't want this book to concentrate.
I can't. We can't hear you.
You can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
So I am
Can't. Still can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay. Go ahead.
writing again, but I want the next book. I want people to know what happens on the other side of the abuse.
Okay.
She want people to know what happens on the other side.
Outside of the abuse. Gotcha.
What
Yeah.
happened for it and not graduating on time and all that.
But this just didn't affect you physically at home. It affected you spiritually, mentally. I mean, in every single way.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, Michelle, we have about 9 minutes left. Let me tell you, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have been looking forward to interviewing you. Of course, we've been on the phone continuously and we'll still be, even after this, continuously talking and encouraging each other. I personally want to applaud you for being able to write your book. I'm trying to get there. I'm just tip tapping away at it, but you did give me hope to be able to focus and concentrate and get mine done. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And let me say this: it means that it's going to get rough. It's just
It's what now? Yeah,
so when it gets rough,
take some time. You broke up. You broke up real bad. I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
There's background noise. Someone's talking.
Hold on.
you're right.
Go ahead. I heard some.
I
Yeah,
think it's just a
background noise.
laptop. I think it might just be a laptop.
Okay. As you're writing, it's gonna get hard, but it's for you and so many other people that need to understand.
Yeah.
I'm not that went through this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be okay.
Gotcha.
I'm not this word and with this testimony.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for joining Keeping It 100. We definitely want to have you back for more discussions. And we just don't want you to be, and I know after talking to you, you have very strong views on religion. You have very strong views on relationships. So some of the things that we talk about, each week. So definitely please be open to coming back and joining us again. Okay.
I would love to. I thank you so much for asking me to come, for having me. I really appreciate it.
No,
Well, I want to ask you one
our
more.
pleasure.
Tell us again the name of the book and how people can get a hold of it.
So the name of it is Still Standing by Michelle Harrel. It is on Amazon. Amazon links get a little wonky sometimes, but you can actually go into your Google search and type in Still Standing by Michelle Harrel, and it'll come right up.
And we're going to figure out how to put this into an audio book. We're going to work on that part.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're definitely
that's
going to
good,
work on that.
Houston.
Love to read it.
That's good.
Definitely. But I appreciate it. I definitely enjoyed talking with you, finding out more about it. And I'm going to be reading that book this weekend.
Good.
So definitely get a better
Definitely.
understanding of everything.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you, Michelle. We will see you soon.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Bye.
You too.
Everybody take care.